Hi there, we're so excited to have you again for Module 5. I hope you are enjoying the journey. We had just finished in the previous module checking for clarity. We had also explained in that module why it's very important to check for clarity because the analyst and those who use data need to understand everything. So proper labels for the data, for the variables, and for the values. Basically, those are the things that are very important. Now we go to another exciting one, which we talked about, which is checking for completeness. And it's very important to understand what something means. Now, your complete may be my 50%, like someone says. Some people's 1 month's meat, another man's poison. Basically, all we're saying is it's contextual when you say something is complete. So, for example, if the data set should have 5,000 names and it has 4,000, it has problems with completeness. And sometimes the reverse too. If it should have 4,000 names and it has 5,000, then there's something wrong. So, completeness is just trying to ensure that all the observations or the roles or the entities are complete or accounted for, and then all the variables too are also accounted for. So basically, it's very important that you have context, and that's the only thing I want to talk about completeness. You cannot talk about completeness without talking about context. So somebody must give you some information about the data for you to determine whether it is complete, or let me use the word over complete. So it's very important that you know and have a sense. Now, of course, it also leads to what we also call domain knowledge. We need to know a little bit about the data. If the data is supposed to produce certain indicators, so let me give an example. Data is supposed to produce area, and if they have a variable for length or breadth, but one of them is missing, then it's not complete. So the whole idea is just to inspect and be sure that you have captured all that you need to capture. And that is really literally based on context. Sometimes you are able to manufacture the missing variable. So for example, the data should have area, you have length, and you have breadth of, say the entities. So you're able to calculate the area. But the most important thing is to check that all the variables that you need and all the entities that you are covering or capturing data are present. And when they are not, you now have to provide feedback that they are or they are not. So that's basically all it is. So I'm sure you're going to enjoy this journey. We're going to be looking at completeness. I'm going to just looking at exciting commands that will greatly help you understand completeness. So in the first module, we'll just be looking at lesson, we're looking at how to look at it manually. Remember, we did that just by looking at the windows, how we can check if data was clear. But now there's also a way you can do that using the windows. Just looking at your Stata windows, it gives you a sense of completeness. So I tell you what to check and where to check. I will show you that in lesson 1. In lesson 2, I'll be talking about handling duplicates, because the problem about duplicates is that they give you a false sense of the counting. So you have to be sure that every person is represented only once and nobody is counted twice. So you can imagine, like in a census, someone takes my details twice. So it will count overall in the country plus 1. So it's very important that to clear duplicates out of the way and you are able to identify them quickly so that they don't mess you up. In lesson 3, we'll look at the count command and the summarize command and how they help us to measure completeness. Lesson 4, we'll go a bit deeper into tabulate, collapse, and contract. Very powerful Stata commands that help you to understand our completeness. Then we are going to do the preserve and restore. And this is a fallout of some of the experiences we would have in lesson 4. And I will explain that when we get there. In lesson 6, we'll be using the by sort prefix. The whole idea also to see how we can fuse that in to help us measure completeness. Lesson 7, we'll take another practical session, try to integrate all that we have learned in Module 5, and then Module 5 will be a wrap. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in lesson 1, where we look at the manual ways of checking for completeness. See you in lesson 1.